Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, guys.
Welcome to episode 9.
Yes.
Desert Coffee Chats. And greetings from the beautiful state of Kuwait.
and I'm happy to report that the weather is now finally very nice.
Yes, it's very nice.
It's in the 80s, or I don't know, Celsius again.
Is it? This morning, all I saw, it said 21. I'm not sure what 21 is, but yeah, it sounds like 80s. 80s sounds good.
No, humidity is down. It's very nice, very pleasant.
It is beautiful.
Very nice.
Yes. It was a long time coming.
Yeah, it was. It takes
I've been
a while
waiting
to get here.
for it to change.
It takes a while. So
yeah.
what have you been up to? You've just been mommying?
Yes. The past few days, or not the past few days, I would say the past months.
Okay.
Just this weekend we were home. A lot of things to do, but still at home.
Okay.
And do you remember when your children were a lot younger, all the TV shows?
Yeah.
I mean, we are right now just now getting into the whole Sesame Street.
Yeah, we love those.
And Teletubbies. Oh, my goodness. I am not a fan of Teletubbies.
They're a little creepy.
If you can imagine them without color, imagine this.
Yeah.
The Teletubbies, imagine that it's a black and white show. It would almost look like an alien show.
Yeah. Aren't they supposed to be some sort of aliens? Or what are they supposed to be?
I don't know. But do you remember in the beginning it says time for Teletubbying?
Yeah.
Teletubbying?
I just remember
the big creepy.
The big creepy baby. Sorry, I mean it's a cute baby.
The baby in the sun.
The big creepy baby that comes over with the sun.
In the sun.
Mm-hmm.
That is a creepy baby.
Yeah.
And it's got the bright blue eyes.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
baby is watching you.
Right. It's freaky.
Yes.
Is Teletubbies? Is that that's a British show, right?
I believe so.
Because I think
it seems British.
Yeah, because whenever it goes to the little, what is it? The monitors on their stomachs.
Oh, yeah.
And it the little shows that it goes to, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
How old is Teletubbies?
It's been around for at least. It has to have been around for at least 20-something years.
But kids are still watching it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think my kids watched it. Like my son didn't watch it, but my daughter watched it a little bit, and she got over it pretty fast. She didn't stay with it. She did watch
Sesame
Barney.
Street.
Barney not around anymore?
I have some Barney DVDs, but I haven't watched them. I mean, I haven't put them on. But no, some people, I mean, I know that kids really like it, but I don't know. Sesame Street, I do find, I mean, because I have to sit there and watch it as well.
Right.
Sesame Street is a little bit more bearable.
Oh, I like Sesame Street. They have good guests on it. They have good guests that come on and do songs and stuff.
I like it when Usher is on.
Mm-hmm.
Usher is on, and I think Alicia Keys was on one of the episodes I saw, and they sing the song with the puppets and whatever.
That's cute.
But Bert and Ernie, I was talking about this with you.
Okay.
Bert and Ernie, and who did we say is the one with the long yellow? Bert. Bert is freaking hilarious.
Mean one, a little bit.
But he's funny.
Yeah.
And what he says to me totally makes sense. You know, it's like, okay, so Ernie is the one that's free-spirited and wants to try everything. And Bert is just
he's more naive.
He's more like, you're a moron.
Yeah.
And
he's sarcastic.
He's hilarious.
Yeah. He has a biting wit.
and one thing, okay, this is totally off subject of watching, but you know Elmo?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now there's the Elmo's World, and my daughter loves Elmo now.
Elmo's cute.
Elmo is really cute.
I like Elmo.
And I find that one to be more entertaining. But I have a question.
Mm.
Do you remember years ago, everyone wanted the Tickle Me Elmo doll?
Oh, yeah. That was
that was like huge?
It was a big thing, yeah.
What's up with the tickling it? Why was it Tickle Me Elmo? Because I don't see anything on Elmo's World
where he's tickled.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they just want to hear him laugh. People like his laugh.
He's got a cute laugh.
Maybe they just want to tickle him to get the laugh. I don't know. But I remember they used to sell out and like women beating each other up basically at Walmart to get the Tickle Me Elmo for Christmas. I'm sorry. I was like, the season of giving, and here's the bonk,
right?
Tear your hair out to get the Tickle Me Elmo.
So yeah, I was just thinking about that. Like, what's up with the the tickle, because I never see that on the actual show.
Are they still around, those Elmo dolls?
Yes, I went online and I found them, and they're only like $20.
So I got 50.
But I did just order Big Bird, Elmo,
Big Bird's cute too.
Cookie Monster. But one thing that I haven't noticed on the new ones, because on YouTube you can find all of the old Sesame Street episodes, the old ones, I think from my childhood.
Yeah.
But okay, who was the garbage pail
Oscar
guy?
the Grouch.
Okay, that's sad. I do not know the name.
You didn't get him.
No, I didn't. But he's not on the new episodes.
Aw.
I haven't seen him.
They found him to be too negative.
I like him though, and I like the Cookie Monster guy as well.
Yeah, he's cute.
I get him.
I wonder if they're trying to do a remake and take out anything that's negative. Because Oscar's grouchy. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah,
that's part of life.
Because in the the old ones, I was just like, okay, I remember the little garbage guy now that you told me his name, but I haven't seen him on the new ones.
Oh, I haven't seen any new ones. I have to say that we moved on, and I never looked back.
I am ready to move on. But anyway, that one is much more bearable to watch. So.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it has a little something.
And one thing too, I know that I don't know if you've seen any of these, but I've discussed it with you before. Have you noticed that they are doing... Okay, so let me go back. They're continuing with Sesame Street, right? I think there's like 26 seasons so far. Okay. But from our childhood, comic books that we've read that were very famous growing up, Archie, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but even and like even novels, remember Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
They now have TV series about these. But what they did with Archie is they have now the show Riverdale. It's already on season 4.
Watch that, yeah.
But they brought in Josie and the Pussycats, and they're actually part of the Riverdale show. I mean, the Riverdale series.
Okay.
They're like teenagers that are actually in high school with Veronica, Archie, Jughead, Moose, all of them. But the thing that I find, and it's sad to me, it's really dark. Now, granted, in the comic books, sometimes they go off on little mysteries and adventures and want to discover things, whatever. But the show, season 1 was excellent for Riverdale, but then season 2, 3, and now starting 4, it's very, very dark. It's very dark.
It because I saw that it had a different, and they remade it, and it's a totally different thing. So I was not interested in watching that because it felt like that was not who those characters were meant to be. Yeah. And so I didn't even watch it.
Also, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, they have a show on Netflix. I started the first episode and I stopped after about 15 minutes.
Okay.
It was so dark. I mean, I understand the whole idea. It's scary, teenage witch, whatever.
Right.
But within the first 15 minutes, there was a decapitation. Ooh. There was, it was bloody, gory. And I thought, that's not fun. No. That takes away from my childhood memories of those
and do they really need to change
comics.
Those things that way? I mean, do we really need more shows that are about violence and, that kind of stuff? Do we really need to take things that were normally, benign and change them into something that's dark?
Right.
I mean, we have enough darkness in the world without that. I mean, you don't try to make it more palatable to the audiences by turning it into what you think is going to sell more.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, there's enough darkness.
I didn't skip through and continue watching it. It discouraged me a lot.
Either. Yeah.
But also, I just saw they came out now with Nancy Drew series as well. My sister read Nancy Drew's. I never read them,
but my mom was big on them.
But yeah, they have a series now for that as well.
I'm not big into mysteries, but my mother loved it, and she had all of those.
Oh, my sister was into Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys.
Yep. Same with my mom.
I loved Goosebumps and R.L. Stine. But and I love Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the comics. They were so cute. Yeah. But now it's almost as if it takes away from my memories and my fondness of enjoying those. Yeah. And now it's just like it's as if it's completely
became dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I wish that they would at least try to keep to the original story or the original idea, the funness and the lightness and the the happiness that went with it.
It's sad that they think that they have to change things to fit in with what people are into nowadays. We could, when they can really control what people are into by just putting out something positive or light.
I mean, there's so much depression out there, and then if you don't protect yourself, and then the things that you watch, you're just letting in more darkness, more more negativity, more just all the darkness coming in. So,
speaking of everything that we let in, I've recently read a couple of articles, just because, and you and I have talked about it many times, like, we all know that like comparing is not good.
Right. But we all do it.
Yes. And it's bad, like, of course, and this article was saying, of course, it's bad for the obvious reasons that there's no such thing as perfection. We don't know the backstories of whoever it is that we're comparing ourselves to. There's also no such thing as an even playing field. Some people are born with a lot of money. Some people are born with a certain look to them. Some people are born into a family that has social connections, like that. And then also the other big reason would be you could turn your friend into an enemy. I mean, it could be somebody that you really care about, but then because you're starting to compare and stuff, it turns them into an enemy. So there was this article about social comparison theory, which says that people evaluate themselves by other people from different qualities. One would be attractiveness, one would be wealth, one would be intelligence, one would be success. Excuse me. And when people do that, it leads to those people who are comparing themselves, because they're finding that they're better than, or whatever it is, they might find that it leads them to becoming more judgmental, or a feeling of superiority over the other person, or it can make them overly competitive. And then most of us, if we are judging other people, we keep that to ourselves. I mean, we don't really let that on. But those feelings that you're still, even though you're not expressing that you feel competitive with the other person, those feelings can still show up as something else. Like, you could feel guilty about something. You could feel regret about not doing something. You could feel dissatisfied for something. And what does that lead to? A lot of times when you have those feelings, it could lead to lying. Like, you could be lying to other people about who you are, lying to yourself about who you are.
Right.
But it could also lead to anxiety, and it could lead to like disordered eating problems.
That's interesting. That it leads to the eating problems. Okay.
Well, yeah, because maybe you're lying to yourself in that way, and you're also, trying, not to eat, or you're trying to, to try to get to some unattainable goal.
Right.
So, and then so speaking about anxiety, of course, there's anxiety that comes from the FOMO. Remember?
Fear of missing out.
Yes. Yeah. But then it was also talking about phobo.
What? I've never heard of that one. What is that?
I haven't heard of that one either. Fear
There's
of
all these faux things.
Yes, yeah. Fear of being out-competed. So, which is an interesting concept.
Fear of being
out-competed.
Out-competed. So wouldn't that be phobe?
Phobo. No, it's phobo. Don't try to change the...
Okay, so what's the... out-competed.
Out-competed.
Okay, leave out the C. Okay.
Yeah. So, and it says that because we are really passionate about something like hobbies, or your profession, or your role, maybe parent, maybe your job, or whatever you're really interested in. Maybe you're interested in, Chinese cuisine, whatever it is. Because we're really passionate about something, we tend to like define ourselves with that thing. That thing is part of me. I am known as the person who is the expert mountain climber, whatever it is. And then it went on to talk about how, and I'm not going to get into the numbers because I don't remember the numbers, but it went in to talk about how studies show that most of us think that we're better than average, right? Okay. Because most of us won't say like, oh no, I'm average, or I'm below average,
right.
So at anything,
a little below.
At anything we do, it was saying studies find that most people continuously overrate themselves. They think that they're better than they are.
Okay, I have a comment on that quickly, if I can jump in.
Jump in.
Do you think that it is probably that situation higher now than it ever was
I think
before?
so. Don't you?
Due to social media.
Yes. And fear
Because
of being overcompeted.
Okay. Because, like, I would think
Outcompeted.
that, let's say, 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I feel that it was a lot less.
Right.
Probably.
Right.
Right? I mean,
Right.
like, unless your inner circle, the people you worked with, you know, your friends,
Mm-hmm.
your family members, I mean, maybe people did, of course, people still felt that way, probably siblings, things like that.
Right.
But now I can imagine probably the numbers
Worse.
to that have skyrocketed
Right.
due to, because you're constantly bombarded with everyone around you, even people you don't know.
Right.
You know, yeah,
And
that makes a lot of sense.
And that's going to tie into this. What you're just saying is right, because according to this article, it was saying, well, before I touch on that, but they were saying that the more that you care about something, the more that you're interested in that thing,
Mm-hmm.
the more likely you are to think that you are better than everyone else at it, because you care so passionately about it.
Okay.
So, but just like what you were saying, because our circles have gotten so big
Okay.
with social media, whatever you want to say, internet, anything that you want to say, because in the past we would have compared ourselves, like you're saying, with people that were in our immediate world, but now we tend to go on social media and follow people and watch people who are also interested in, say, mountain climbing. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we follow those people. And before, we could have felt better because, you know, I'm the only person in my town who's the best mountain climber or whatever. But now you
Right.
see these people in faraway places, you know, who are, you know, experts, and they're doing, so you start to compare yourselves to those people who are probably better than you are, right?
Right.
And then you start to see that you're being outcompeted. But again, we don't know their backstories. All we do is we see them, you know, on Mount Kilimanjaro or wherever they are, and we see them, but we don't know, you know, that they suffered with whatever disease for, you know, a week before that or whatever. They have problems with their family, so
That's interesting.
yeah.
I will say that, and I'm going to speak for myself.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I have noticed, and it has definitely been a negative impact on me. I mean, I guess you could say maybe positive in some aspects of it, but being a new mother and seeing and following and seeing online, for example, Instagram and all of these sites where people just are the know-alls for
Right.
everything being a parent,
Right.
and what the children need, their milestones that they should be achieving at this point, you know, and
All the schools of thought.
yes, and also speaking of just schools in general,
Oh, yeah.
where they should go,
Where they
what
should
they
go.
should do.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it has
Pressure.
many times brought me down.
I'm
And it would
sure.
bring me down for days, and it would make me question, even though I had been doing everything I thought humanly possible to take care of these kids and to give them the best of, you know, everything that I could. But yet it takes just not even 5-10 seconds. You see someone's post
Start to doubt
and
yourself.
you think, oh my goodness, I didn't offer that to my kids.
Right.
I didn't even know about it.
Right.
You know, it's something completely foreign to me, and it really messes you up psychologically
I'm sure.
and can really bring you down. I think that also contributes to a lot of depression these days. They say social media
Oh, yeah.
is like the number one.
I believe it. I mean,
Downer.
I kind of liked the idea that Instagram was talking about hiding the likes and stuff like that. Did you read about that? And then they're trying it out. I think they're doing it in Canada and somewhere else, that they were going to start hiding the likes
Okay.
so that people, you know, are just posting and then you don't.
It
I mean,
is
you
what it
would you
is.
could know what
Yeah.
it was, but the other people are not seeing it.
I think that's smart.
I think it's a good idea, because then
For
people
me,
are
it's not necessarily
The
it's
likes.
not the likes, because I
No, yeah.
don't even think I look at that actually.
Yeah.
It's truly the content.
Right.
You know, because now you can hashtag anything and follow anything, like you just
Sure.
said, mountain climbers. You can hashtag, you know, mountain climbing, and you get every single post that someone
Right.
puts that, you get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
I don't know. I do notice, and I don't know if you agree with this, but I do notice, and maybe it's just because I'm here, although I was in the U.S. for most of my life. But I do notice here that and I'm interested to get your take on this, that comparing is really big here. I feel like there's a lot of comparing here. Even though, like, there is a saying, the Arabic saying is like, even the fingers on your own hand are not the same length.
Right.
But I do feel like that there's a lot of comparing, and I have seen, and I don't know if it comes from because they typically, especially traditional, more traditional families, they had really large families. And sometimes if you'll be around the kids, and probably even students too, you've heard it over the years, students talking about like comparing themselves to not necessarily other students, but sometimes other students, but how parents would compare them to their brother or their cousin, or, because they do a lot of extended family stuff here, the gatherings and stuff. Yeah. Like, why can't you be like your cousin? Your cousin is whatever.
Right.
Like
and
that.
They think that that's a motivator.
Right.
And it couldn't have the most opposite effect.
Right. Like, I think that it sets people up to have different sort of mindsets. As I still remember being in undergrad and being in a painting class, because my undergrad is in studio art, being in a painting class, and the person, we were doing the critique Friday where we critique work, and the professor saying, oh, well, this is not good and this is not good, to whoever's artwork was up. And I said naively, can't you find something to talk about that is like what you feel like does work? And he's like, well, typically people are motivated more by hearing the negatives to feel like that they can go on and create and change that and make it better. I get that. I understand that. But I think, and maybe it's just because this is the way I work, but I want to hear your take, is I feel like most people don't work that way, and that most people would work better. I mean, not to sugarcoat things and be like, everybody's a winner.
Right.
Everybody gets first place.
Yeah.
But don't you think people would work better with saying, like, this is really good about you, or this is unique about you, and this is something that you could work on that might even make that better? Don't you think?
Well, I think that I would agree with that. I would even say, like, since we're talking about the whole classroom setting, I mean, I know that whenever you are constantly discouraging and pointing out all of the negatives and the weaknesses within a student, I'm talking about their work.
Right.
That, to me, I haven't ever seen a student then thrive from that. Mm-hmm. Or either like, oh my goodness, my instructor thinks that I do really poorly on this. Now let me go and do much better.
Right.
If anything, I learned when I did my TESOL to sandwich it, mm-hmm. Start off with the positive, mm-hmm. and then a little bit, negative,
right.
constructive criticism, but then end it also with the positive.
Right.
That I don't know, for me personally,
mm-hmm.
if you just sit and basically attack me on everything that's negative about me, nothing about that situation is going to make me want to do better for you.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
I will go the opposite way.
Well, yeah.
I will.
To show
I will
them.
go.
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, well, I'm so horrible. Okay, then I will really show you how horrible I am.
Yeah.
Seriously. I know that is a bad thing, but for me, no. If you already think I'm bad, well, then let me just give you some real badness.
And I've seen, and I'm not saying this this is my experience. This is not representative of any group of Americans or any, big group of Kuwaitis either. But I've seen a lot of times it can go like a couple of different ways. But one way, I think, that kids who face a lot of criticism, comparing and stuff like that, one thing that I have seen happen is that sometimes that either, they're beaten down, mm-hmm. and they're like, I'll never be good at anything, or I can't do that, or there's all that inner, negative inner dialogue that goes on, and you see it on them.
Right.
Or they tend to inflate themselves. And so they have a very unrealistic, sort of view of themselves as like, oh, no, I can do, which, is maybe it's self-preservation, but you see that sort of inflated self, the ego is really puffed up, and mm-hmm. because they've kind of had to like compensate for what they're getting elsewhere.
Yeah. That does make sense.
Then I started thinking about differences in all the people. And then I started thinking about differences just I mean, everything's connected, but the difference is, like, even between you and me, different ways of being in the world, and how and why do we always expect people to, conform to one way of doing things? For example, you are very goal-driven, and that's what motivates you. And it seems to motivate you. You like to check things off. You like to get, you're very industrious. You get things done. You get things checked off. 1, 2, 3. And it makes you feel accomplished, a sense of accomplishment.
Or productive.
Right.
Yeah.
And I am, I do, like, if I have tasks to do at work or whatever, I like to get it done, like, right away. But I'm less like check the boxes. I don't know if that has to do with, like, organizationally, like that's the way you organize your life.
Right.
And for me, I'm just kind of like flowing along.
Are you more like it'll happen when it happens, and
yeah, it happens.
Let it happen organically?
Yeah, I'm not sitting and just waiting and letting time pass me by and not getting things done. But it kind of happens organically for me. I don't know.
And see, I don't see either one of those being a negative.
Yeah.
I see those as, it just shows how people are different.
Right.
The different thinking, different, just what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another, and vice versa.
Right. And imagine if you and I were sisters, and our mother was saying, Caroline, why can't you be more like Donna? Why can't you do like this, like Donna? Or saying, you need to be more like Caroline to you. And how unnatural it would feel, and then how you would start to feel about yourself and what you would be telling yourself, because it was hard to be that way.
I'm going to say this that I've noticed about you, that to me, this is personal. It's a very positive thing, though. You will actually take a situation or a task, but you will thoroughly go through it, check it, like it's almost as if, like, your final product, you want it to be a lot, like, more perfect. More perfecter.
Yeah. Thank you.
But like me, sometimes I do find myself, it will hang over me that, like, I need things to be finished. Okay. Yeah, because I don't want it hanging on my head anymore.
Right.
That sometimes I will let some things go to where it doesn't finish as perfect or as complete as it could have been if I would have spent more time on it. And I see that, the way that you are, as also a positive thing. I can see both sides with it, you know?
Me too.
Like me, I want something to strive for. I want, and I do, and the whole FOMO thing, it's not necessarily for me the fear of missing out. It's that
the fear of not doing, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. That's one way to say it. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know how to say it.
Well, I guess.
But like I don't want the things hanging on my head. That is a real big thing for me.
Yeah.
Like with work, it's like I want to be now I don't have to be the first one to submit my work, but I'm definitely not going to be the last.
Oh yeah.
And it's not a first or a last kind of thing. It's just like I want it.
It's interesting that you and I are usually the first ones to do everything.
But you are
coming at it from different.
But yeah, for me, and even my husband would agree with this, we are the kind of like, okay, check, like check that box. Okay. And then I can kind of release it.
Right.
And it doesn't affect me anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like a sense of release. I'm like, whew, okay, I'm good.
And when your kids get older, like that's the one thing I'm trying to teach my youngest son now is like, he'll have homework for not tomorrow, but the next day. And I'm telling him, sit down and get it done now.
Yeah.
And then it's not some impending doom that you have to think about for the next 2 days or for the next day and a half. You have to think about it.
Right.
Get it checked off, get it done, free up that space in your thinking and your mind. But kids don't always take in what you tell them. We're working on it.
Yeah, that's cool.
But anyway, so.
No, I get that. Don't we have a story?
We do have a story.
You want to go ahead and read it? Who is it from?
It comes from Rachel.
Okay.
And she is somewhere, she doesn't tell me exactly where she's from.
Okay.
But she's obviously from somewhere in the South.
Okay.
And Rachel says, I lived my whole life in a city in the South in the U.S. I had never really traveled much out of the South, only a trip now and then to Washington or New York for school trips or something like that. I had the same wonderful friends from nursery school through high school. We all knew each other's families, and we all had basically been raised together. But in my senior year, we had our senior trip to the mountains in Virginia. We were going to help build or restore houses. When we got there and saw the house and met the people we were working with, I felt odd. The way the people spoke and dressed and acted was very different from me. I found myself immediately and helplessly thinking that they were poor or uneducated or less than in some ways. And I felt bad about my own feelings about them. The people we were helping were a farming family. They had a small house, but the father had died and it needed help with the roof and some of the walls. The mother was very kind, but quick and short and loud with her words. This made me nervous. She made us all lunch on the first day, and we ate on the floor in the kitchen. It was really very good, but different from foods I would normally eat at home. It was a full hot meal in the middle of the day. We got to look around the house, and she showed us the quilts in the attic sewing room. We got to see her cellar where she canned all of the vegetables, fruit, and even meat from their farm. They had such a different way of life. When her children came walking down the hill from the school bus, they came into a mudroom and took off their shoes and washed their hands and faces. Their mother gave them a snack but told them a little harshly to do their chores around the farm. I felt sad for the kids who didn't seem to have free time to play, but after they finished with their work, they came and helped us with ours too, as did the mother, who was older, or so it seemed, but still very strong. Toward the end of the time, I started noticing other things I had not before. The house, even though it was falling apart in places, was still very clean. The children, although they worked hard, were very polite, disciplined, and happy. At the end, the mother gave us a quilt for our school and gave us bagged lunches for the rides home. And when we got back, we all got together and talked about it. And we said that at first we did feel sorry for those people, but at the end we felt differently. And we all saw things in their way of life that we wished that we had too. It definitely was a learning experience. Thank you for your podcast.
That's nice.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, Rachel. Well,
I can relate to that.
Me too. And I basically understanding just like the sense of going into something. I don't know if she had any, basically go under misconceptions in the beginning, but going into a situation and expecting or seeing things a certain way from the beginning, but then at the end viewing it in a whole new manner.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that I've been in situations like that, not as extreme as that, like going to help fixing houses or something like that.
Yeah.
But even with work, colleagues that I met in the beginning that ended up being really good friends later. But also, I would say this, I mean, I don't know if you've experienced this, but students where you go into the class the first day and you get a completely different vibe from a group of students, and then by the end of the semester they're your favorites.
Right.
You realize that they were just nervous as well.
Yes.
They were, but you come back or you end with a completely different view and feelings, and you care about them and you appreciate them. And what about you?
Yeah, I agree with that. I was thinking, it reminded me of things in my life, but where you come into something and you're initially observing the things that are really stand out because they're different, and you don't have any reference for that because they're different, and then the more that you're around that person or that situation or that place, you start to see how those things work in a different way than you thought they did.
Yeah.
And they serve maybe different purposes, whether it's how the kids acted, or how maybe the kids were very disciplined because they needed help, they needed to be helpful or whatever, but that in turn let those kids probably grow up to be totally different from the kids that are just given everything.
That's true.
So it serves a purpose that might whereas you feel I see the lack of children being able to play and have fun in that immediate moment, but then later on you see it gave them something much better.
Yeah, true.
So in the long run, they ended up having a sense of family, a sense of duty to the family, a sense of, responsibility, a sense of, how to organize their life. So I think that, like, a lot of times that I have in the past maybe viewed things in the immediate surface level, and you say, oh my God.
I think we all have,
That's weird, or that's whatever.
Yeah.
But then you start to, if you're open to really observing without, the filters of like everything has to be the way I think it has to be, then you start to open up your mind to new ways of being in the world and accepting other ways of being in the world.
Right. And that's the same thing as moving abroad and traveling. A lot of people will go to a place and at first it's like a shock to them. And, everything is so foreign. It's different. Food is different.
Not good. Different equals not good.
Right. Exactly. People are friendly, people aren't friendly, whatever. But then staying there for a period of time, but really opening up yourself to learning and understanding the culture or whatever, then in the end, you understand, you learn from it and you end up loving it.
Yeah.
Not saying that you have to love it,
right.
but, at least you understand it and you respect it.
And it makes your life richer. I mean, It just, in some ways it makes the world smaller because you see that I feel like that living abroad, one thing has done for me is that you just see that people have the same problems all over the world.
Amen.
It's just different colors of it, different flavors of it, different, ways of approaching it. But people have the same problems all over the world. People have the same concerns all over the world. People have the same desires all over the world.
Yep, that's true.
And you just really have to be open to recognizing that not one way of doing things is the right way.
That's right. That is right. Well, thank you, Rachel, for writing in. That's definitely a good story.
We'd like to hear from people.
Yes, and please, anyone that, if you have a story, something you would like to share, even questions. I know we say that we would love to do a Q&A one day for an episode.
That would be fun.
Yeah, please write into us. Our email is desertcoffeechats@gmail.com. And we are, and please follow us on Instagram as well.
Like and follow.
Desert Coffee Chats podcast on Instagram. And we're on iTunes, SoundCloud, Buzzsprout, and Spotify.
Yes.
So, yes, follow us.
Yes.
And thank you so much for listening and joining in on our adventures. So.
Write in, guys. We want to hear from you. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.